the thing I was so excited to have you on about and talk about was The Last of Us season 2, which I don't know what your relationship is originally with the shows or the game, but the first season of episode 1, I mean the first season of Last of Us, the first game,
Mhm.
um that first season was just was amazing to me, and it's one of my favorite shows on TV. So I just wanted to talk about the season. I have so many thoughts. Obviously, there's a lot of
Vitriol.
yeah, there's all everything's culture war shit now. But either
Mhm.
way, but yeah, just to start it off, so we're gonna go into full spoilers. This whole discussion is just gonna be spoiler filled. So I'm not even gonna try to tiptoe around any of that stuff. So it's all fair game from here on out. Uh, but yeah, Gene, just let me know. So walk me through, what is your relationship with the Last of Us franchise? I don't even know if you've played the games, and what did
Mhm.
you think of the games, and what did you think of the first season of the show?
Yeah, I've played the first one. I actually never played the second one,
Hmm.
but I know everything that happens in the second. I know how it ends. I know, I knew about Joel dying obviously before, because that was a big thing, and I know a lot of the themes and everything that the story the second one's trying to tell. Right? I watched a lot of. I basically I've watched the game through like clips. But I played the first one. Um, so in regards to the first one, I really personally enjoyed how the first season was like a retelling of the whole first game plus the DLC. Um, and I think a lot of people wondered like, oh, if they do the same thing for season two, then that's gonna be a two-season show. Well, they're not doing that. As you know. But yeah, like I'm a fan. I also really enjoyed the first season. I think that the character that I think the chemistry was a big part of it.
Hmm.
And going into season two, I did wonder like, oh, because like Joel dies like right at the beginning of the show of the game. And I know you see flashbacks in the game, so I truly thought because of how popular Pascal is and has gotten with the Mandalorian, he's playing Reed Richards. I really thought they were gonna drag it out, and I really thought they'd be so bold to like have him die at the end of the season. But no,
Hmm.
they surprised me. They did it. They did it in episode two, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, cool. They're going for it. They're not afraid to, because the second game is an Ellie story. She's the main character. And I was surprised that okay, like they're gonna take the risk. They're gonna have Bella Ramsey be the lead. Of course, we'll see Pascal again in a flashback, and we saw that. We had that. But yeah, I was a big fan of the first one. I really enjoyed the first season. I mean, I remember we watched it at your old place, the
Hmm.
finale. And I do have a lot of thoughts on season two. Not as like not negatively. We'll get to that, but yeah, I'm a fan. What about you? Like, how much did you know about the games and like?
Yeah. So I never played the games. I'm famously not a huge gamer. But I'm very plugged in online,
Mhm.
so I was
Yeah.
very aware of. I was loosely aware of the first game when it was out and people were playing it. The second game, obviously, the whole controversy when the game came out and Joel died, that was huge on the internet. That whole thing. So I did follow that discourse pretty closely at the time. And our friend Josh, I think, was also. I don't. I think he played the second game, but I knew.
Yeah, he's not
I
a fan though.
I know, right, but yeah, but I was aware. All I knew about the second game was I didn't even really know too much about the games in general. I knew it was zombies, post-apocalyptic, and all I knew was the main guy, Joel, gets bashed in the head with a golf club in the second game right at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
loosely knew the character of Ellie, and then I knew in the second game there was that character Abby. And that was pretty much all I knew going in. I didn't really know anything past that. I didn't even think I knew that Ellie was immune. Like I didn't really know any of that. You're muted again. Sorry. There you go. You're good.
If I like move the USB input that this microphone plugs into, it's like not the best. So if I move like the computer, I think it just like disconnects.
Oh yeah, no, you're good. But
Yeah.
yeah, no. So I wanted to watch the TV show because the game was so acclaimed, and this was right when Pedro Pascal was getting really big after the first season of The Mandalorian, I believe.
Yeah.
And you know, Bella Ramsey was in Game of Thrones, that I think a lot of people kind of forget about, but
No, I think people that was my first exposure to her. I think she was a popular character because she was like young and scrappy.
right, yeah, but no, and I love HBO, so it was just such, oh, this was my in to experience this very popular game, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did
You were the
know.
target audience in a lot of ways.
Right, but I also did know it was going to be interesting because I was one of those audience members that I knew roughly the storyline, very roughly, but I didn't really know anything.
Yeah.
The first season of The Last of Us is probably one of my favorite shows I've seen in years. I probably wouldn't put it above like Succession or anything, but what I love so much about, and I've thought about this so much, what I love so much about The Last of Us, at least the HBO show, the first season, is when the show came out, it came out right when COVID was ending.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah. And I remember in the show, and again, it was week to week, it was very zeitgeisty HBO, where everyone was talking about it after every week, every Sunday night. There was a very deliberate choice, and I don't remember the exact details, but in the game, they had the specific years of when the outbreak happened and the
Yeah.
time jump to when, you know,
Yeah.
go to current day.
They shifted the years around by design. Yeah.
They shifted the years around, and it wasn't exact, and I don't remember the exact years, but I think it was like they had the outbreak happened in like 2013 or something. I don't know. And then it like it
Yeah.
lined up to the end of COVID. And that was obviously intentional. And I always interpreted that, as I think they were basically hinting at, was I was always viewing this show through the lens of what if COVID just took out the world and this was the world that we were living in.
Sure.
And I always, whether the show was kind of intentionally doing that or not, I mean, that's clearly not a main focus, but that was the lens that it set me in. So I always was viewing the show that way, of just the what if this is what happened after COVID. And I remember just, I watched this show and I feel so much comfort in that, oddly. I think there's so much to you always hear me rant about how much I love environments and how much I value like production, and just I want a show or a movie to, it's not even because I just value it, I do, but I want to feel transported to a different place when I watch
Yeah.
something. And HBO in particular is very good at that because their shows are so expensive. I know it's kind of this oxymoron where we're watching this post-apocalyptic show where there's zombies and, like, you know, it's you get bit, you're dead. You know, it's very hellish in a way, but in contrast, so much of that first season is just watching Joel and Ellie travel through this the most gorgeous post-apocalyptic world I've ever seen, where the whole concept of nature is healing and nature is reclaiming the world. And I think just coming out of COVID and coming out of, like, again, as even to this day, I'm just so still terminally online with the elections and politics and the internet just rotting everyone's brains. I turn on The Last of Us and I just think, this was the alternative. Obviously, it would be hellish. It would be hell, but there's like this weird peace I get from that.
Oh my god.
Does that make sense?
I can see what you're saying. Sure. Yeah.
I just, there's so much appeal to me of just the going back to nature, and just, it's mainly just the scenes of watching them travel through this nature being reclaimed world that that sucked me in so hard. So
Yeah.
like it's a better version of the Mandalorian to me, of the lone wolf and cub narrative. But so yeah, and that's aside from all of the content of the show, the story. But so yeah, that's what I really connected with The Last of Us. And yeah, so even though I wouldn't call the first season like a masterpiece, I think it was pretty damn perfect. Only a few nitpicks here and there.
Sure.
But just the way it examines like morality and, would you save one person that you love if it meant fucking the rest of the world, basically. It just was very, and the relationships that it builds between Ellie and Joel, there was so much going on there. So yeah, I was such a huge fan of it. And it
Yeah.
really scratched a lot of my itches. But yeah, no. So I have, anyway. Sorry, I know I'm ranting a little bit, but I have a lot of mixed feelings about season two, as I'm sure a lot of people do. But
Yes.
I don't,
Um. Oh,
I
no,
don't.
sorry.
Yeah, no. Just my initial impression is, I guess I don't even know how to really summarize it, but I don't think season two was a mess. I think it's messy, and there's a lot of things that I think my main issue with season two is structure and
Okay.
feeling like half a season. And obviously, we're gonna get into. I have a problem where it's clearly gonna go. I just think it's all. I think there was a way to do it, but where I think this show really swing and a miss is ultimately the structure, and I think the ultimate goal of the season is just much weaker inherently than season one. So
So okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Like the goal. So like, what do you know about the goal in the second game and how it's presented versus the goal in this game in this adaptation of it in the presentation, right? Because there's okay, it's what does the character want, right? What is
mhm,
their driving motivation? Ellie's motivation is they killed my dad. I'm gonna kill all of them, right?
right.
The game presents it as like since you're the player, you're playing as Ellie, you're just killing all these fucking soldiers and scars, like, because you have to have your enemies you can kill, right?
Mhm.
So, the suspension of disbelief as because she's a 19-year-old girl, it's like you're just murdering all these people. You have enemies to fight, right? And and in the game, like she's angry the whole fucking time. Like Cosmonaut Marcus was talking about this in his video, and he showed the clip too of like when Dina tells her that she's pregnant, night and day reactions in the game and in the show. So the game just very clearly is like, yeah, revenge. I mean, have you ever seen the cover to the second game? Not the new cover, like the original cover to it.
It's Ellie just being very angry, right?
Yes, it's like a close up of her face, and she's like fucking furious.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the game. It's just revenge the game. um, and so at least like they go all in with that, right? And that's the
Mhm.
whole point. As she slowly picks off Dina, Abby's group, she's just like does not feel, just she doesn't feel any kind of like regret about it. She's like, no, this is what I'm here to fucking do. The show doesn't do that
Yeah. Well,
at all. No,
I'm
at all, dude, at all. And like
it's
I'm not,
yeah.
I don't, and like I we can get to that. So, so you mentioned the goal. Like, I don't know, how do you see the goal for this one? Because, the first season's pretty easy. I'm getting this character from point A to point B. I'm supposed to keep her safe. And throughout the journey, we bond and I become, and, I grow to love her as the daughter that was taken from me, right?
Mhm.
Um, Season two, same thing. We were attacked. My dad was killed. I'm gonna kill all of them. But now I think that now the presentation is what is important, especially in the TV medium. That's the hot, and that seems to be a lot of people's issue with it. I don't know how that came off to you.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because Josh was saying, our friend Josh, who played the games, was complaining about something similar, where but he hasn't watched season two, but he did say like he's heard complaints that that Ellie is not being communicated as angry as she was in the game.
Yeah, she's not.
Uh, but well, my thing is, I don't think I mind that.
That's
That
no, yeah, that's totally valid. Sure.
I don't think I mind that change. I think it still works. That aspect still works for me, because that's a different question of if that's a different question of, do you think it's faithful to the game? And in this case, I don't care because I haven't played it. But if I did, maybe I would feel differently. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's a case by case basis of, if you add an attachment to something, would you care if a different IP or a different a different iteration had changes to it? I don't know. I think it's a case by case basis of whether or not I would care or, feel betrayed by it. But yeah, I did hear that as well, that is a much more focused part of the second game. But I still think when you only have these 7 episodes, I think they communicate the fact that when Ellie beats the one girl with the pipe in the hallway and leaves her there, that communicated it to me that she was angry. Was she physically angry throughout the show at all times? No. But I don't think I needed that. Like, I was fine with that part of it. I didn't.
Sure.
Yeah, that I did hear that though.
And I think that's fine. Like, I don't think it should be an automatic slight against the show, because there's two audiences to the show. There's like you, who you actually, there's multiple audiences. Like, there's you, who knows about the game, but you haven't played them, so you don't have that connection to the game. So you can approach this as like, I'm just gonna approach this as his own story,
Right.
Then there's like me, same thing. Like, I haven't played the game, but I know enough about the game. Like, I played the first game, so I have more of an attachment to the story. But I think I'm more of a like I'm also more of like, fine, there's changes, whatever. But then there's like the Josh of it all, where he's like, he played the game, he knows exactly what it's like, so he probably would have an issue of like, I just don't think it's a faithful adaptation. Fine. And then you have like the Miriam of it all. Miriam had no idea anything about the second game whatsoever. She had no idea Joel dies. She had no idea who Abby is. She doesn't know anything about the second game whatsoever. So she's just going into it blind. She has no attachment. She doesn't know that in the second game, Ellie's just mowing down fucking a whole army of people and just killing everyone, being brutal and like revenge filled. So her only concept of Ellie is Bella Ramsey's portrayal in season 2.
Right.
And that's fine. And I'm always open to it, because you're adapting a story, right? And you're adapting it for a completely different medium, for a completely different audience. A video game audience can totally just like backseat, like throw in the back of their mind, because like, in a video game, in any video game, you're always just mowing down people. Like a Call of Duty, you're fucking killing everyone, And when I play Jedi, the Star Wars Jedi games, I'm just fucking tearing apart stormtroopers with the Force and my lightsaber. So I'm just used to like, yeah, you're an overpowered character. That's the point of the game.
Right.
That won't come across the same in the TV show. It just
Yeah.
would not.
Yeah.
It just won't.
I understand. I understand if Ellie being very angry, physically angry, and more ruthless in the game was a huge focus. I understand if you think you kind of count that against the show, if you think that was an important part and thing that wasn't being communicated, and I get that perspective. I'm just saying, in my eyes, even if I'm just going into the show cold without knowing that, I got the idea that she's vengeful, clearly, and that scene where she beats the one person to death, I got that communicated.
You think it was communicated well enough?
So that didn't feel
it doesn't have to be like the only thing Ellie is in the story either.
Right. But that I understand if either way, whatever, if that would be something you would think would be like missing a huge part of it. But
no, I think some people also just like have issue, because like there are times like when she wakes up in the hospital and she's like screaming, and then they have the vote if they're gonna send the party out, and they vote against it, and Ellie's very clearly against that. There's many scenes where she's showing like, okay, I'm like, I think it's worth doing something about this. But a lot of people have issue with this, like, once the scenes where it's just Ellie and Dina, travel-y. It was just it's kind of like Attack of the Clones, Anakin Padme scenes. It's just them like
Yeah.
falling in love, and there's no stakes to it whatsoever. Um, and I guess I can see that, but it's like, I think they're trying to recreate the season one magic of two characters grow to care for each other,
Right.
just in a different way. Because and that's kind of what they did.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And so you have the whole thing of the goal of, okay, the first season, when you take the objective is keep Ellie safe, get her to the location, and this is a cure for the world. And along the way, in each episode, you're encountering like another mini story of you're seeing other people along their travels of the episode with
Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman, the
Yeah.
episode with the two black kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that broke my heart. That episode was a
Yeah.
masterpiece. And just seeing all the different, in the case of the two black kids, like you
Yeah.
see like
Just how it affected everybody. Yeah.
how brutal this world can be and unforgiving it can be.
Yeah.
And then in something like the Nick Offerman episode, you get a sense of hope.
Yeah.
And when the world feels so hopeless, it's showing you. What also just makes that episode so beautiful is that there is something to fight for in a show
Yeah.
that is so brutal and dark otherwise.
Yeah.
So there's just so much brilliant about that first season. But the problem is with the second season is, right, the overall objective is just revenge. Just revenge and selfishness on Ellie's part, just wanting to get, and that kind of comes into play more in the later half of the season. And basically, yeah, it's just, and when they get to, it's just going to Seattle, and they have so much less time to go on their travels, right? And they're just mainly in one location for the most part. And then there's all of these asides. The season just doesn't feel, it feels like a big what's the word, a prelude. The whole season felt like it was building up to something else that will be important later. That's what the whole season felt like to me after episode 2. So yeah, and then there's a lot of other problems within that. So that was my number one thing with the overall just goal of it, of just, okay. And again, I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, I don't know where else I would go from here, but yeah, it's hard.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's I mean, again, it's a different story too, and it kind of, it tries to expand the world a bit, where introducing these two new factions who are at war, and that's actually why I really like the Jesse scenes in the last episode, where the wolves captured that one Scar kid, and I did think it was a little weird that Ellie's trying to save the Scar kid, especially after we watched him gut someone. And Jesse is just like, this is not our war. Like, this is not our war. They're just gonna kill each other. We have no place in this. We just need to get the fuck out of here. And he was right,
Yeah.
But I do like how that's kind of a point. Like, there's a larger world. And there's so much more going on outside of Jackson. And you're just this is just a quick stop for you. And you're not the main character in the story. Like,
right.
Their war, like it's Jeffrey Wright is the main character in that story.
Right, exactly.
And I like that. Like, I've actually enjoyed how that's presented. I like how like, we see Ellie, like, she watches the boat. I love how we don't see the attack. We don't see the wolves attacking, like, the Scar village, kind of getting ahead of it.
Well, we will.
No, we will, but I like that. I like I like how it's just like, again, like, oh, like, Ellie has nothing to do with their fucking battle. She's just on her own quest. This is like, the world keeps going on around her. There's there's more going on. She has her own story, but there's other stuff going on. I think I thought that was really well portrayed. Like, you're just coming into this war, but it's not your war, and there's stuff going on around you. You don't like that?
I'm mixed about it.
Why?
Well, let's just zoom in a little bit. We're getting a little, so let's just start with the whole inciting incident of the season.
Yeah.
What do you think about the idea of them killing Joel off in episode 2?
I mean, yeah, that's what happens in the game, so it's an adaptation.
Do you think it would have worked better if they didn't kill him?
No.
No, you
Like,
don't.
okay.
Okay.
Oh, like how some people probably thought they weren't gonna do it.
I had a whole working theory that maybe they wouldn't, but I knew it wasn't going to happen
No,
because he's way too busy
it's
with
just
Like
how how else do you tell the story?
right. I didn't know the rest of the story. I didn't know anything that happened. I didn't know what happened after Joel died.
Well, because Abby's a parallel. Abby's a parallel to Ellie. The idea is like like Abby is. I mean, it's also her real dad. You know.
Right.
So I no, I like I said, I fully expect them to do it. I just my working theory was it was going to be at the end of the season just to get more Pascal screen time.
I heard someone say that too, but then I guess they were speculating that maybe they were worried if they did that and held it off, they would have been. It would have just had every episode just being like, "Oh, is this the one where he died? Is this the one?
Yeah.
Is this you know?"
Yeah.
But yeah, no. It fundamentally you would have had to rewrite the entire story if Joel lived.
But about that, I think what's important about that is, and I'm not to keep referencing the Cosmonaut video, but it's something that he had a lot of qualms with because the way it's presented in the game is like you don't see Abby. Okay? So the video, the show starts. The first shot is Abby and her group in the aftermath of them finding the hospital, and then Abby says like, "I'm gonna find who this. I'm gonna kill them." Right? And and then we cut to Jackson. So we already know who Abby is. We know her motivation. We know exactly who she is. We understand why she's doing what she's doing. The game doesn't do that. I don't know if you know this.
I did hear that.
The way the game sets it off is like it starts off like Joel and Ellie, and then this girl just comes in and just fucking kills Joel. So you as the viewer, you're like, what the fuck? Why did this person just kill Joel? What the fuck just happened? And you find out later why. You find out like later on in the game. And so that was actually one of Cosmonaut Marx's qualms on his video. He thinks that worked better for the narrative. And it's part of the story of like you're meant to fucking hate Abby from the start. And if you're Miriam hates her anyway. But like, his saying was like he thinks it was just a little. It just changes the way the audience views Abby, which I don't think so because people like Pascal. So they're still going to see it as like you killed our main character and it's Pedro Pascal. We love Pedro Pascal. So
yeah, I don't. I think I did hear someone have that theory too of why, because that's how I found out about that the game doesn't present it that way.
Well, so what do you think? You think it would have been better to present it the way the game did, or do you think it's fine that the show starts off?
Oh, we lost Gene. Oh no. Well, I am going to have some editing to do. God damn it. Does he still say he's connected? Oh, wait a minute.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. Your whole camera like shut off.
Yeah, it just ended for me, and then it just showed me the chat. I don't know what the fuck that was.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
No, do I think? I don't know. I don't know if it would have helped it.
What do you like the way it's presented? Like, do you like how the show started off? Like, it's the thesis. Like from the start, like this is what the season's about. Like from the start, we're showing you Abby from the start because that this is an important character. We're showing you like another side, a parallel to Ellie, right? We're showing you another character because one thing that I think season 1 does a disservice is Joel's a terrible person.
Right.
Like Joel's a terrible person, and you see that because he just effortlessly murders a fucking hospital when he kills the doctor. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
I watched that episode right before we watched.
They had like their hands up.
No, the doctor says like 2 words. Joel doesn't even look at him. He just fucking shoots him in the head. He just barely looks at him. The doctor says like 2 words. Joel doesn't want to hear. He just fucking domes him right immediately. Does not even care. Not a second thought. And I think that's a big important thing. Like Joel is a terrible person. That's the point. Joel's on a lot of shitty things to survive, and we see it in the episode where he kills that one dude at the cliff with the beautiful view. Like, and I think that was lost in season 1 because we love Pascal. And I think that's very important. I think this is where casting can be a little misguided, where it's so hard to hate to realize Joel's a shitty person because we love Pedro Pascal. You see what I'm saying?
I think it definitely seems like when you're in the game and you're doing missions where you're mowing down a lot more people. I understand they probably hit all of that way much harder in the game because they were able
Yes.
to.
Yeah.
I was pretty convinced that he was a terrible person.
But
And
I don't think people realize. I think that was lost in season one. I also think it's lost. I think it's lost in the video game too, because the video game honestly doesn't realize like you care about this character because you are in this character's shoes because you're the protagonist.
Oh, right, that's
but
the story.
They're not meant to be a good person.
Right. And yeah, well, he's in survival mode and
Sure.
it's someone he cares about. And in his mind, same thing with the Joey Pants episode. He's just like, nope, you're bit. We can't take any risks. You're getting popped. And same thing with the hospital, even though he probably could have and should have let those people live. In his mind, it's like, nope, they're gonna come after me. It's gonna pop. Like, and this is you're threatening.
Yeah.
So
and that's a big thing of when Joel dies is it finally catches up to him. He finally wronged the wrong person, and she comes, and and he kind of accepts it. Like he he even says it where she starts monologuing. He's like, "Oh, just fucking do it already,"
Right.
Like
he knows, and
he knows.
I understand if you play I get that criticism. For me, and obviously this is probably coming from.
But I do think it came across well in the show too. Like Abby starts monologuing like as a villain,
right?
And Joel's just like, just fucking do it already. I don't care. Like, just get it over with.
Yeah, this goes, and the whole thing with presenting Abby in the beginning like that. This kind of, I don't know if it would have been better to not show the motivations at all and not go the entire season or most of the season without knowing her motivation. I don't know. I feel like
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I'm indifferent. What I had a big issue with the show, and this is going to the structure part of it. You get introduced to Abby.
Yeah.
The event happens. You see her backstory, and she's not in the rest of the season.
Oh, you know why?
Well, I know what's going to happen in season 3.
We're going to follow Abby.
Well, right, and this is getting to... Now, let me ask you this. Now, this is my impression.
Yeah.
I think in the game, correct me if I'm wrong, in the second game, aren't you like alternating between going to...
Yeah, you play as Abby, and they do a thing where like kind of like after like Ellie has killed all her friends, they do the same thing where it's like, okay, let's see what they've been doing this whole time before Ellie kills them.
Okay, so it goes okay.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if it would have been good to do it that. I think this is just fundamentally the error of trying to adapt this into a show, and it just isn't gonna work. Or it's just gonna be really, really rocky structurally. So what I was experiencing in this season was it was too much, because when you think of, okay, they're making the decision to kill off Joel, and that's the inciting incident. In my head, I think, you know what? It's a really bold fucking swing. And I kind of like the swing, literally. But I just feel like everything else that follows from the season is too much for the audience to adjust to, or too much for me to adjust to. So, for example, like here we're introduced to this new character, Abby. Clearly, she's meant to be a big part of this show now.
Yeah.
You drop her in as the main antagonist, and you never see her again after episode 2. So I'm like, okay, what the fuck? Where's... I literally thought to myself, I think in episode 4 or 5, like, are we ever going to see Abby again until the end of the season?
Yeah.
So
quick thing. Just looking at it real quick. They do it in the game the same way, where they cut to Abby's story the same exact moment after what's his name? After Jesse dies.
Okay, so it is
the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, but the other thing is, and again, a game is probably this is probably gonna feel so different in a game, and I know people aren't even really fans of the second game to begin with. So here I am, this whole new antagonist is introduced, or protagonist in a way, introduced and then dips after the inciting incident. Then we get this is the other thing. We're introduced to another new character in Dina, who is supposed to be the other new partner. And I felt like she was underbaked in the show. It's so funny how everyone has a problem with Bella Ramsey. As much as I think that actress who plays Dina, I want to marry her. Please marry me. But
you don't like Dina?
Her character was underbaked. It was just underbaked.
Don't like her. Oh,
it was underbaked because I didn't have it was all. And you know what? And it's not even that. I would be okay with it.
I was actually going to ask you too. That's one of my questions. Of like, you're getting ahead. Like before I got that, I was going to ask like, well, how do you feel about Dina? I was even going to say, I know how you feel about the actress, but how do you feel about the character?
Well, yeah, it's so funny how the entire time everyone's talking about how Bella Ramsey sucks. I'm like, Bella Ramsey's the only one I have any connection to. And
well, why don't you like? Well, I mean, you know, Dina's introduced, sure, and you spent a lot of time with her, so like.
Yeah, I don't think there's an issue with introducing new characters and new protagonists. I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think it was too much, too quick of a shift in the show. It's like, wait a minute, here's Abby, she's going to be important. Nope, she's not really in this season. And then Dina's this new person that we haven't even been like, it's not like she was a side character in the first season, then came to be more prominent. It's nope, this is a new person now too. And then, so that was less compelling, and especially because, just because of the length of the season, they have less time together. And it's just, her whole thing is just that she's pregnant and that's it. Like she doesn't really exist too much independently outside of being Ellie's love interest. She's basically just the love interest. And I think that's where but again, in a vacuum, I don't even necessarily have a problem with that. It's all the adjusting, right? Of shifting the show from what the first season was. So, okay, killing Joel was a huge shift. Now you're throwing us, okay, this new main character that isn't actually in the show, and then there's this other new character that's underbaked, and the whole mission is just less compelling. And then again, they just had they were so much more crunched for time in this season. For all of the, they had to take like the first two episodes just to get the main incident going. But by the way, there's so much to praise in this season. I'm just getting out like all of my frustrations first. That's my main thing is just, and then we're cutting to, and this was kind of something that I felt like the first season did really well. A lot of the Firefly stuff was not really my favorite.
Sure.
I get that they were like a thing, and it was like, I understand why it's there. But this season, we're introduced to Jeffrey Wright. As this new group called the Wolves.
WLF, yes.
WLF. And
sounds like a radio station.
He shows up. And then, like, you never see him again. And I'm like, this all just feels like, except for the last episode, but it's like, this just feels like, again, this is just, I didn't need that. Like, this is just leading up to something that I feel like I'm going to get later. I just.
Yeah, exactly. And that ties into, well, no, you were saying?
No, I'm just, all of Jeffrey Wright's stuff was, I know maybe it'll pay off later, but like in this, it was all just a complete waste. It's all a waste. I was like, why are we spending time with him right now? I don't care.
I don't think it's a waste. I think it's, so here's the way I see it. And it's, he has so little screen time that he's a guest star. He's not even recurring. Abby's recurring. So this is where I think it's interesting because I think maybe your issue is, okay, like I said, I like how there's moments where the battle between the wolves and the scars, Ellie's caught in the middle, but she has no idea what's going on because she's never even met these characters. She just came into Seattle in the midst of this battle, right? In the midst of this war between the two factions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we as the audience, we can experience that the same way Ellie's experiencing it, as of like, I'm just catching glimpses, right?
Sure.
But we don't. We as the audience, we get a whole flashback of seeing like, oh, Jeffrey Wright was a former Fedra guy, right? We
Right.
get that scene of him with the knives, he's torturing a guy. Ellie doesn't see all that. So there's information that we have that Ellie doesn't,
That
right? We
she
as the
right.
audience.
Right.
Do you think it would have been better if we never had those scenes? So then we only see Jeffrey Wright like in the scene where Ellie sees him on the boat. And like, can you imagine if that was his introduction? Like, can you imagine if that was his introduction to the whole series? Like, he gets that one scene, and we see, and we then we got like, oh, this guy's a leader of some sort. Oh, like that might have been slightly better. What do you think?
The only reason I think that actually would have been better is not necessarily because I even have a problem with them setting him up a little bit to begin with. I
Hmm.
just think it was wasting time that we could have spent with Dina and Ellie.
That's what I'm saying. So I think it'd been better, like almost better if like we catch glimpses of this other story going on, through Ellie's perspective, her POV. We'll hear things through the radio, we see like things like that. And then we get all of it in season 3 with the Abby story because she was
Yeah,
in that faction,
I think
you
maybe
know?
that would have been a better way to go. It's just again, I feel like there's so much little time with
I'm saying that that would solve the issues you have with it.
right,
We wouldn't
yeah.
have,
S-
I think that would solve the issues you have with it. And I think it would have been a better
And it doesn't
presentation,
right, and
you know?
it's not giving this like who is this? Like now I got to get to know you and again,
Yeah.
this is I don't know if this happened to you. I heard someone else this happened to. I saw on Twitter because I was a little bit behind the show. I saw that when season or when episode 7 dropped, they were like I saw on Twitter like all the articles like, "Oh, season finale of Last of Us premiered last night." I go, "That's the
Yeah.
season
Yeah,
finale?" I was
yeah,
like,
I
"It's
know the
only
same thing.
7
Yeah,
episodes?"
same thing for me. I was behind. I was behind 3 episodes. So when you messaged me on Monday, in my head I'm like, damn, I haven't even finished it yet. So then remember when I watched the whole thing on Tuesday, and on Monday night. It's still not up there.
That's fine.
On Monday night, and I said to Miriam, I was like, "Wait, Miriam, we have 3 episodes left, and that's the finale." And then she was like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like it's just a short season."
Yeah, so it feels like half of a season.
Yeah,
And it is basically. So and again, I get the production thing. I don't know how you would and that's the thing too. I don't know how you would solve this other than what we said about the POV stuff. Might have improved it a little bit. Um but yeah, so again, I think the way I would characterize it is it's just too much. It was just too much to adjust to too quickly and just felt too jumpy and too like this is set up for something else.
yeah.
Like let me ask you this. I don't even know. What is the goal of WLF? What is the whole what is their thing? I don't get it. Why are they like that?
Exact. So I think this is where like,
They're like an extremist group, I guess. Why? I don't know.
and I think this is where maybe it would have paid off a little better to not show us all those Jeffrey Wright scenes, kept our audience. And I saw people have issue with that too. People were talking about how in the game when Ellie first encounters the scars, and like you're just seeing like the aftermath, and you're like, what the hell's going on? Because Ellie doesn't know anything about that. We as the audience, we were presented that scene of them walking on that dirt road, like in the forest, like, and so people seem to have an issue that the show seems to do that a lot, introduces things to us, the audience, to us, the viewer, and then we go back to Ellie's POV, and it's like, oh well, we know this, but she doesn't. The game doesn't do that. The game is like, no, you are Ellie. You get all her POVs as well, and then later you get all the context with Abby. And maybe the show should have done that. Maybe the show seems a little more like, maybe the show maybe feels like it should handhold a little more. I don't know. I don't.
Or
I
just not tell it at all. Not handhold even that much.
Well, yeah. I mean, I say that, but saying that, like, I mean, do you remember what the Fireflies' purpose was? Do you remember what their goal was?
Barely. No,
So,
no, I don't.
and I think the show does a pretty bad job of doing this. Do you remember what Fedra even is, or what their whole point was?
I remember Fedra. I like see that's why, and I feel like they weren't a big part of the first season. That's why I kind of liked it better.
Fedra just has the walled cities. It's like the remnants of the U.S. government, and they're like, we're just gonna wall everything up, and we control everything. We become like a super authoritarian government, right? So
Okay,
Fireflies were like a rebellion against that. I think the show does a pretty bad job of explaining that.
sure.
And I think the wolves are just another a lot of the wolf guys are former Fireflies.
Yes.
And they're kind of meant to be that, but way more organized and maybe way more closer to Fedra than they would like to be. They're just another group, they're just another group that seems to be composed of former Fireflies and former Fedra instead, you
Yeah.
know?
I like,
Um,
for example, I could get the gist of like the Scar people pretty quickly. Was like, oh,
they're cultists.
they're a
Yeah.
cult. Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
a crazy cult. Okay, sure, whatever. But yeah, no, it was like all of the jumping to that stuff, and then quickly realizing, like, when I saw that, I think I was actually 3 episodes behind too. I didn't finish it yet either. I was
Yeah.
behind. So yeah, I had the same thought of like, as I'm watching the last 3 episodes, I'm going, well, they're not going to have time for any of this. Like, this is, I don't even know where this is going to end up. Like, I don't know how they could possibly end this season. And I could
Yeah.
feel the show. I feel like the show was struggling to figure it out too.
Yeah.
I think I did hear someone mention that the writers, Neil Druckmann and the other showrunner, they were like, the hardest process of this season was writing, and I could feel that throughout the entire show of just
Yeah.
them rewriting. Okay, how do we, like, trying to like figure out? They probably spent so much time trying to figure out, with only 7 episodes, how do we structure this fucking thing?
Dude, a lot of people on Twitter do not seem to like Neil Druckmann whatsoever. A lot of them think that he just writes too much, and it kind of like slowly ruins things the more he writes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um,
I don't think either way. I mean, but yeah, it's so that is like all of my main issues with the season. And again, it's just most of it was just them in Seattle.
I have one more for you, because
Yeah, go.
this is a big one. I think this actually pissed off a ton of people. That porch scene with Joel and Ellie talking, and she's like, "I can't forgive you, but I'd like to."
Yeah.
Do you know when that happens in the game?
No, when's that happen?
It is the very last scene of the game, the very last cutscene.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
definitely the game does a lot of time jumping too, back and
Well,
forth.
no, in the game, the whole point of it is like Ellie goes through this whole, like you don't find out, you go the whole game like just thinking like, oh, Ellie and Joel never reconciled. And then he dies and she goes on this huge revenge quest. And then the game is like, no, at the very end, it's like, no, they did reconcile. And then she watched them die. And then she won
Oh.
this whole revenge quest. It recontextualizes the whole fucking game because I don't even know how the game ends. Either I don't know if you know how like.
No, I have no idea. I have no idea what happens.
Do you want to know or do you want to wait?
No, I don't at this point. No.
Okay, so people were mad about that because people do think like it was a bad move to show it right away instead of at the very end of the game where like it's presented. And again, the whole point of it is like, oh shit, no, they did reconcile, Um, and it just adds a lot more weight to like, and and it's very important in context to where Ellie ends up at the end of the game and everything that happens and everything. It's a, do you know what a Pyrrhic victory is?
No, but is this gonna spoil? Don't tell me. I don't want to know.
No, a Pyrrhic victory is just kind of like it's like a victory that like you won but wasn't worth it,
Sure. Okay.
and and we're already kind of seeing shades of that, like, oh, Jesse's dead, you know,
Right.
like, ooh, like what's gonna happen, like what are you losing in your quest for revenge?
Right.
So,
Uh.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, people were mad about that, and again, like you didn't know that, so to you maybe it doesn't mean anything, right? Maybe to you it's like I've only experienced the story in this way, and
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the. If I did play the games, that would probably bug me. Yeah. But I mean, for me, I mean, if I go through the rest of the show in God knows how many years when we get the next season, and like then
yeah,
I would maybe think that.
yeah,
I mean, in the context, in a vacuum, I thought that scene was beautiful.
yeah. It was a great scene. Yeah,
I loved that scene so much. But
yeah,
no, I understand. Yeah, if that was, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
yeah.
But I guess, yeah, that would. But again, that's also the difficult thing of having the hindsight of knowing the games, right? Like,
Yeah, there is one
um,
thing I'm gonna I do want to spoil for you 'cause I doesn't seem like they're doing that at all in this.
wait, don't spoil. I
Um,
don't want to know.
no, 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 no. This is like I truly don't think they're even doing it. This isn't like about the end of the game.
Okay.
Um, it's the way Ellie finds out about what happened at the hospital
Oh, okay.
and kind of like the impetus for her getting mad at Joel. So in the game, Ellie reveals that she went back to the hospital by herself.
Okay.
and that's kind of what spurs everything for her, and it's more like an immediate thing, and that's kind of the impetus for her like really pushing the topic. The show, I don't know if you probably noticed, the big thing was when he's like, "I promise," about killing Eugene, and
Right.
that's when she realized, like, "Wait, you've done this to me before,"
Right.
you know, because
Um,
he says, like, "I promise."
yeah.
And it doesn't seem like they're doing that. So in the game, and they didn't have her reveal that. So I'm like, oh shit, they're not doing that in this. Where she went back and just found out by herself, and kind of like gave him the opportunity to tell her. It was kind of like the whole time she just knew, and he never told her. And that kind of made it worse for her. This didn't do that. I don't know, like she doesn't know about it. Like
Yeah.
it's very clear she just doesn't know about it. Because like
Again,
okay, like how cute were those scenes of like her birthdays? Like, those were so cute.
yeah, no, it was amazing.
Like,
I
with the
loved that whole
museum,
episode.
like, it was so cute, like, him being, like, a dad, like, a teenager, like, when she gets a tattoo, like, she gets a tattoo, and he's like, "Oh, so all the teenage things at once," like, it was so cute just watching him, like, be like, "Oh, shit," like, she's a real teenager now, like, that was great. Um, so I will give the show a lot of points for that too. Marcus pointed out, not to keep us in this video, but he pointed out that the game has her get mad at him, like, it's more of, like, an instant thing. The show does it more like a slow, gradual thing, which is I do think more realistic, you know?
Yeah, I don't
As as she gets older, she starts to question more, and like she said, like when she's like rehearsing the questions she's gonna ask him,
mhm, yep.
like I like that, you know,
Yeah,
and that's why. And seeing that, that's when I realized, like, oh shit, in this she didn't go back to Salt Lake City, like
right.
in the game she did, like she snuck out, and I guess went all the way back to fucking Utah, from Colorado, from Wyoming, which is insane.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
I
like where
don't
do you say you are that whole time? There's no cars.
yeah,
Anyway,
I don't know if maybe if I played the games I would feel differently, but I
no, I
don't
don't hate it though. I don't hate the change.
yeah.
I think it makes more sense because, like, I mean, dude, in real life, like, you don't just leave Wyoming and travel to Utah, like,
Yeah.
and be like, "Oh, I was on patrol for a few hours." Like, that's not how it works. Um,
I'm mostly fine with how that transpired.
yeah. No, I like it. I thought it was
I
great.
do think
And
that that scene and that episode was so beautiful.
well,
And
what does
so
that say about the show, Dan? That the best episode of the season is the one where it's like we just get Joel and Ellie again.
well, right. And you know, it's so funny. Well, I know this is like the most frustrating show I think this season because there's so much that I love about it and it still is
Yeah.
that show that I still want to go back to this world. I still but
Well, so do you plan on watching season 3?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you think the general audience will care or cares enough about Abby to watch the season, or they just care about the story?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm predicting that for me, I probably will think that season 3 is going to be even less than season 2. Because because that whole thing with Abby and even Josh, I was talking to him about it before I finished the last episode. He called it too, and he hasn't even been watching the season. I told him like, "Oh, Abby's not really in the show," and he goes, "Season 3 is going to be all her," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh God, no, really?" And sure enough, when they go day one, and I go,
Yeah.
"Oh, for fuck's sake, we're going to go through all the same events again."
No, I don't think the same events, because again, we weren't really seeing what was going on within the wolves. No, like Abby has her own thing going on. You don't see her at all. Like, and that's for a reason. She has her own quest.
Sure, I just and it's going to put other things into perspective and like that's why I did end up loving the flashback episode so much. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's just again this show is just it transformed so quickly. I don't know. I don't know. I'm curious to see how it ends. I'm probably not going to be satisfied with it based
Yeah.
on what, and I don't really want to know until I watch because I'm just experiencing the show.
Sure.
I love what the show has accomplished so far. Even though I think it's like
So, well, so did you overall like the season? Because I like the season. I don't hate it. I think it was fine. Like, it's not my favorite show on TV, but it's not like, and like I don't know if I love it. I like it enough to keep coming back to it every week. Not as much season 1 did, but not for like Joel Pascal reasons, just for other reasons. Um, but I do like it. Like, I do plan on watching season 3. You know?
for or it's still probably one of my favorite shows on TV just because I still like going back to this world and I love
Okay.
these characters or just what the world has set up. I do, however, think this season was deeply fucking flawed, and I do think this
Sure.
is like as far as other I mean, again, I don't really watch a lot of TV, but just from and I hate to I feel like it's such a cop out that I keep going to this, but the pure production value in the world is just so up my alley, and I love like just going to the aesthetics of like, and this is also kind of a criticism, but like everyone's in like the nicest Carhartt LL Bean
Oh
work
yeah,
outfits, and Dina has
yeah,
perfect makeup the entire time, but like they're in like this. It's just again, it's that idea of, oh, this is a world where everything just goes back to like, it's kind of why we like westerns, right? Like as guys, like even though it's a million ways to die in the West, old West is hell, but it's a simpler time, right? It's a
yeah,
simpler time, and like, and this was, oh, what if COVID just and just seeing the nature of everything reclaim itself, I just really enjoyed.
yeah.
But think of it like, oh, what the hell was I going to say? Also, aside from episode 2, correct me if I'm wrong, not a lot of infected in this season.
You know what's funny is that was a criticism of the first season, and I
Really?
remember reading them saying like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make more of an effort to fix that in season 2."
Well, you can argue that episode 2
Sure, but
and
it's like, oh, there was more, as in there was literally just more quantity of them.
well, and if I'm being fair, and again, I don't want to just say all like episode 2, when the battle of it's the Jackson, is it Jackson or
Jackson,
Jacksonville?
Jackson Hole,
Jackson Hall. Yeah.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Yeah,
Yeah, that was like pure cinema to me. The
that was
entire
cool. Yeah.
that cutting to the town, and it was basically the attack on the wall in Game of Thrones. Um
You want to know something, Daniel?
what?
That attack doesn't happen in the game.
Oh, did I know that? I don't remember.
That whole thing which I and Miriam asked about it. They show
Wait,
that scene of the cordyceps coming out of the pipe, and it's
yeah.
like implied that it's like getting like intelligent, and it's implied that it kind of like called them to Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to the cordyceps after? Like you just don't see it again. Is it
Oh,
still there?
that is true. Well, they
Because
kind
Miriam
of
and I keep asking about it.
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. I thought they were kind of introducing the idea of it was kind of meant to be like maybe it was just like all in the pipes and in the trees and they just got rid of it, but I thought the idea was like, yeah, the disease is spreading, and they introduce in the one episode that it's in the air. Like that
Yes.
wasn't that like, so it's like evolving, it's mutating the virus. That's kind of what I was getting from that. But yeah, it didn't really go too much of anywhere, but
Well, they introduced the smarter ones too, and I'm just like, it's just like, and the show has always shown more. The games keep the cordyceps stuff in the dark a lot. Like the show doesn't show you, the game doesn't show you the whole thing with Ellie's mom getting bit as she's pregnant. That's all from the show. Um,
mm,
the game is much more about like we don't know why she's immune. We don't know really much about the cordyceps. And so I do like that the game's more about like keeping it in the dark. I do like how the showing us more about that. I'm just very curious to like how the like what their end goal with it is, like
yeah.
showing the smart ones. Because also there's not a single character in the, like I feel like a cliche show or movie would have the character who's like a scientist who's like, I'm trying to figure out what, like I'm trying to cure the cordyceps, like I'm trying to figure out the source, like they don't do that here. So there's no, like I feel like a more cliche story would have it where like there's like a wolf scientist or something who like um let's
Yeah, I
say
get what
like
you mean.
they don't believe in the wolf morals or what they do, but they keep they're armed and have technology, so the scientist just stays with them,
Right.
right? And then like as the audience learns small more things about the cordyceps, and as the characters do, like you reach a scene in the third act where they meet the scientist and tell the scientist like, "Oh, we met the smart cordyceps," and scientists like, "What do you mean?" And then like, "This is huge. What do you?" And like, so it's like I don't think this is gonna build to that, but it's like, okay,
Maybe
so
they'll
like,
do it next season.
oh, I don't know, man. So whenever we see the smart stuff, it's like, yeah, they're more of a threat, but like, what are we building to lore wise? Like, are you trying?
Right.
It's like, do you have a lore goal? Especially with showing the again, like the core. It's very implied that the cordyceps like like called them over to Jackson Hole, right?
Right.
And like, what is the like they purposely attacked it? Why? I don't know. Food source.
Well, Abby
Um,
woke up all of the frozen ones, I guess, or
yes, yes.
uh
Um,
I guess yeah, I don't know. I just totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, I don't know. It's well, that's what I was gonna say. It's tough too, and this is the issue, right? Because they only have so much time to do so much because it's a very fucking expensive HBO show.
yeah.
So they can only do so much with so little time.
God, we're gonna get Game of Thrones syndrome, aren't we?
And it looks well. Game of Thrones, they pulled out the fucking punt. I mean that show. I mean
No, but I'm saying like we have the issue where it gets so expensive because it looks so good that you can only do like six or seven episodes.
well, that wasn't the problem with Game of Thrones, right? It was that
No,
DB and
oh
Weiss
no.
wanted to leave. I mean, they would have shelled out the money. I mean, it was their most
They wanted
successful.
to subvert expectations, and
I
even though they
they
have built up
wanted to.
Jon Snow as the prince who was promised, that doesn't go anywhere. I
Well,
know.
yeah, but
Yeah.
no, I just it's that's what makes it so frustrating because I just think it is so. It's just such one of the best looking. I think it actually is the best looking show I've seen
Yeah.
in years.
Looks really good.
Better than
The color
Succession.
grading is the color grading doesn't piss me off like most shows.
Where the when characters are in a room and it's like the light of the sun comes in and Jackson and then like the guitar. I hate to say it's like a vibe, like, but the show just brings me into a world, man. Like,
Yeah,
and
you're
I
immersed.
just, yeah, I am just so immersed. And again, with was it episode 1, I believe, where they have the New Year's Eve party,
Mhm.
and Joel has that whole outburst, and then like Ellie and Dean are dancing to that little guitar song, like the acoustic guitars, like, and like all the Edison bulb lights. I'm just like, damn, man, this is so. There's something so ironically peaceful about it to me.
Yeah.
That I just really love that contrast of we're in hell, but we're trying to find
Yeah.
peace in this new world.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
so brutal.
Every little like your little community, and it's cute, you know. And like I like how so like I don't know it's just like it just makes me wonder why they even have them attack Jackson Hole. Like in the game, it's just kind of like Joel's on patrol and just they don't have that scene where he saves Abby. That's all in the show. That's not in the game.
Well, wasn't some of it wasn't I thought some of that was in the game. When I watched the second episode and that whole set piece happened where Abby goes under the fence and they all
Yeah, it's not. That's
no,
not in.
that was in the game. That was in the game.
But Joel's in Saber.
I don't know, but I know that I know the zombies crowding onto the fence and her crawling through was in the game. I know that. I saw
Yeah,
side by side.
yeah. But that whole thing from that's not in the game. That was added in the game, and it's
Oh,
also like hold on, yeah. In the game, it's Joel and Tommy rescue her from the horde on patrol.
Joel and
Um,
Tommy.
yeah, it's Joel and Tommy.
Oh, well, still Joel saves her.
Yeah, but like the way it's done, where he like pulls her out, and it's
Oh, well,
yeah.
it's probably better then in the show. Then I would
Yeah,
argue.
no, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
But
It's more of a cliche story, but it's good.
when I saw that, when I was watching that episode and that sequence happened, my jaw was like on the floor. I thought, son of a bitch, who thought of that set piece of the fence
Yeah,
caving down and the zombies?
yeah,
Like I thought, and she has to crawl through it. I thought that is such a
yeah. Really well done.
thought out and executed set piece. I thought that was so tension filling how they did that, and I just thought the whole concept of that was so genius. And then I was like, son of a bitch, that was in the game. I said that was brilliant. I couldn't
Yeah,
I that stuck into my brain. But yeah, so again, there's so much to like that's so frustrating because there's so much is to love about this season. I remember when I saw the teaser to episode 6, which was a flashback of Joel coming into Ellie's room, and I knew, oh, all of episode 6 is going to be a flashback episode. I thought, son of a bitch, this is going to suck. And it ended up being one of the best episodes in the season, not only because yes, it's giving us Joel and Ellie, which we want to see, but it's also it's doing that thing that I guess the game is meant to do, where you're retextualizing little moments. You saw what was going on with Joel
Yeah.
before he shoved that guy in the
Yeah.
party, and just those little bits. And I thought that worked. I was like, oh, you
Yeah.
know what? I actually liked that. I
I
actually
do.
liked,
Yeah.
and the Joey Pants cameo. Do you know who Joey Pants is?
Is this a Sopranos thing?
He is a big Sopranos
Yeah.
character. He's
Is
only,
that
but
who, oh, is that Eugene, like the actor that he played?
I forget his name in The Sopranos, but he was only in like the later seasons. He wasn't like he was a big part of the show for the later seasons, but
Is that who Eugene's actor is as well? Or no, it's somebody
if that
else.
is his name in The Sopranos, then yeah.
No. In The Last of Us, it's Catherine O'Hara's character, her husband, who Joel kills. That's Eugene. Is that who you're talking about?
Yes. Sorry,
So he was in Sopranos as well.
Yeah, he was in Sopranos. Yes, that was him.
He's Joey Pants.
His name is Joe Pantoliano, the actor, but people just refer to him as Joey Pants.
Sure.
He is a brilliant actor. Other than The Sopranos, he was the second lead in Christopher Nolan's Memento. He was in he had a great role. He was like big in the 90s. He was a character actor, like in the best way of that word. Like he truly was able to transform into different people when you see him in roles. Oh my God, he's in one of my favorite movies, Midnight Run with De Niro. He's one of the best characters. Just such an amazing. And when I saw, oh my God, he's going to be in this, and I haven't seen him in years.
He's in Bad Boys. That's cool.
Yeah, and seeing him, he always is like, he's good at playing like a cop.
Oh, he's in Goonies. He's in the Goonies. He's a prolific. Like he's in the Matrix. He's in Memento.
He's a veteran, man, and he is great. And he's
had a prolific and Empire of the Sun. Yeah,
seeing him come in for this just tiny little guest spot, and it was also so touching too because he's so much older now. Like
he's 73.
I haven't seen him in anything recent. I don't know if he still acts a lot. But but seeing him come in was just so like hit me so hard. It hit me because that just an actor that I have such an attachment to. I thought, oh my God, that was seeing him so much older now and just give this such a stunning performance. So emotional.
Yeah. And I'm looking. He's done just like episode appearances in like a few shows, like Chucky. He voiced the character on the Patrick Star Show. He was in one episode of Dexter. So he's just been doing that. It seems like.
Yeah, you don't really see him too much anymore. So getting him to like this such an acclaimed actor to get this little spotlight, and like seeing him in such an older age was like, fuck, man, that was so good. And it's funny when I was watching, I did know that Joey Pants is going to be a guest appearance in this season.
Yeah.
And then what hit me so hard was when it didn't click for me when I was watching the flashback episode, and I did know, Catherine O'Hara, that we're going to see him kill her husband, and then it's revealed, oh my God, that's Joey Pants. And and the scene, Gene, happened. I was like, this is beautiful television. This is cinema. This is absolute cinema. So I can't stress enough how much there is that I loved about this season. In a vacuum. So
I mean, there's a lot that you like, it seems. I'm surprised. I'm so surprised you don't really care for Dina, which is really interesting to me. In
concept, I don't have a problem with Ellie having a love interest. I don't have a problem with. I just feel like she wasn't, as a character, she just wasn't given the development because they just didn't have the bandwidth. They had to make they had to make cuts somewhere, and it's like we can't give Dina. And I don't know if she has more to do. Like she's one of the main she's like the second lead in this season, almost, basically, kind of. But on that journey, you don't get enough of her. But sorry, go ahead.
You know what I don't like though, that they had to use Dina for, like, especially in like those last 2 episodes, like they treat Ellie as like she's reckless, like Dina's the one who maps out the whole plan to go to where they're trying to get through, and they're like, because Ellie doesn't know what she's doing, she doesn't know how. And I'm just like, she doesn't triangulate me. And like they keep doing the joke of like she didn't care for school. But they make it sound like she's incompetent, and like the whole point of Ellie is like she was trained by Joel to be like a fucking killer, and she's like a badass. And like they're not doing that. So just that Dina is like the brains, and Ellie's just like the brawn, who's kind of like dumb. And I'm like, I don't like this. I'm not like, why are they doing this?
Kind of. I get what you're saying. As I didn't really.
I just didn't really like it, and it didn't really become
Sure.
apparent
Yeah.
to me until that part with the protractor, and she doesn't know what a protractor is, and she doesn't know what triangulate means, and like Dina is like the mastermind, and I'm like, that's not really what Ellie is. Like, what? This is so confusing
Yeah.
because especially when you watch season one, and even like in that was that Joel Ellie episode, like he's teaching her things all the time.
Yeah.
So
She
like,
didn't. She didn't know what a plane was.
but even then, like Joel's like a hardened dude. Like Joel would teach her like this is how you survive in this world. And that's his whole thing. He's like, I'm gonna teach you how to survive in this world. So why would she be dumb? Like doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
she can be like a delinquent. Like I think it's funny how I love how they flesh out her like teenage like she has a Kurt Cobain poster on her door. He's like flipping off the person like the cameraman.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
like she has like Nirvana, like the Strokes. Well, I thought that was cool. Like oh yeah, she's kind of like a punky kid. Like she works Chuck Taylor's. You know, um
Yeah. No.
Hold on, I gotta check on Maya. Miriam's down in the basement. I'll be back.
Yeah. Sure.
Dan, just I don't know, rip for a minute.
Yeah. I don't. I can't. I guess I could just go through the video to edit. Check out Eyes Wide Watch Club. We're doing Superman 2, the Donner cut. Not next week. Pretty soon. We're gonna get back to the original show. Probably next week. I've been watching a lot. We're gonna talk about Mission Impossible. I've missed a few things. I didn't see Final Destination. No, that was a thing. I didn't see Thunderbolts. Just didn't have time. I did want to see Thunderbolts, but I guess I didn't miss it. It could be worse. Moving's a bitch. Mainly in my case, it's just Amazon packages. I'm furnishing an entire apartment exclusively through Amazon. Honestly though, not bad. Say what you want about Bezos, but sorry, Amazon's a great fucking service and great products. They don't do sponsors, do they? I like this camera angle. I like that you can see the background. I'm kind of in center frame. And then you can see, because yeah, if I was just going straight on, like my head would just block everything. So I like the offset. That's nice. I gotta get Pulp Fiction poster behind me. That's a film reel. I don't even know if you can fucking tell that. I feel like I need some more backlight. But these black curtains won't be here. Look at like a tan curtains. I mean, shit, am I just gonna have to? I hate like having to do like setup because my main lights are just mounted to my computer, my ring lights. But like for fill lights, I got a little bit, but like, am I gonna need to get a small box light to like just mount up to the side of me or something? That would be a bitch. I have to like trug that out every time. I want to just be able to flip on my camera and go. I feel like there should be some moments of silence. Wait, BRB, because then in the timeline I'll be able to figure out where to edit when there's dead air.
Let me. Okay, hello?
Yes, I could hear you.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay. But yeah, no. No, I just feel like they just didn't have enough time with Dina. And
She's in like most of the episodes, but
well, she is, but she's not. She is. You're right. She is, but she's not getting developed too much. She just feels a little underbaked, and maybe she's being kind of, as far as development goes, she's kind of being split between her screen time and Jesse. And
I don't know. My counter to that is just like you do go a few episodes without Jesse, and then like since he's gonna die, they have to have the audience care about him a little more. So then you get that whole episode where he is like now in the whole episode.
And he even goes
Right.
like, "I'm gonna be a dad, so I can't die," and I'm like, "And he's gonna die."
Yeah, right. It's yeah,
Like
that was
they
pretty.
start they start broadcasting a little more. So like because there is that whole like middle chunk, what like 3 episodes where you're no longer in Jackson Hole, so you don't see Tommy or Jesse for a little bit. Um,
Also,
and is it just
yeah.
like what? I'm trying to think about it. It might just be no, you know what? It might just be 2 episodes. It felt like more because they're in Jackson Hole for 3 episodes. Because there's the setup episode, Joel dies in episode 2. Episode 3 is the aftermath, and then episodes 4 and 5, I guess, is it 7 episodes or 8 episodes in the season?
7.
Oh shit! Let me pull this up then. Hold on.
It's all just very janky. It's all
You know
just
what? Maybe I may be. I think it's episode 3. Half of it is Ellie and Dina on their own, right? Then episodes
yes.
4 and 5 are
Them in the music
Ellie and
shop and
Dina. Ellie and Dina. Episode 6 is Joel and Ellie flashback. Episode 7 is the you see. So yeah, okay. So I can see maybe why. Yeah, I would argue like because Dina's not really in the first 2 episodes. She's more in the third.
and it's not
And
really
then
about her. All I'm saying is just as a
yeah.
character, she's there, she's physically there.
Well, then she gets injured too, and then since she's out
Right.
of commission, so then you get a whole Jesse and so I guess you were talking about
Just
and,
basically her whole thing is I'm the love interest. And I
and,
just
and they kind of like
that's like you're meant to be the
yeah.
replacement for Joel, and that's not
Yeah.
good enough.
I also did feel like her whole backstory was kind of like forced a little bit, like to make you care about her a little more, but like it didn't feel like I don't know. I do get what you're saying. I didn't hate her character, but I get what you're saying.
It's very janky. And again, I don't have a problem with it in concept. It's all just very janky. So yeah. Other than that, I don't know. When we get the whole teaser of like, and it was weird for me too, as someone that didn't play the games. That whole thing where Abby just shows up and kills Jesse and beats up Tommy. I feel like I blinked and I missed that, and I was like, wait, what? Abby? And I'm like, and I thought like, oh, this is a dream sequence. This is not real, right?
No,
And then
that was like shot for shot in the game too.
and then it cuts to Abby getting out of bed, and I'm like, oh, it was a dream. And then I like, wait a minute, oh, for fuck's sake. And it's like day 1, and I go, oh for fuck, like just ending on such a fizzle. I just feel like I just watched an entire prelude.
Yeah.
So it ended on a huge whimper, ended on a huge low note.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but
yeah, I mean, it's all set up, and you know what? Like, I remember at first it was like, oh, they might need more than just season 2 to tell the story of the second game. It's like, okay, and then it's like, oh, yep, we're doing season 3. So then it's like, okay, like they're definitely gonna split the game into 2 seasons. Okay, fine. I don't know if you saw a few weeks ago, it was like we might need a season 4. I don't know if you.
I did see that.
So now I'm like, what? Okay, how? So then going into this season, I'm like, okay, well, I know there's gonna be season 3. That's fine. I figured they'll add supplemental stuff. We'll get maybe more about the factions. We'll get, sure. I have no qualms with that. Let's flesh the story out a little bit more. Let's learn more about these characters.
Right.
Definitely did not expect 7 episode season though. Like,
yeah, that was insane, and I understand.
Did not expect that.
And I understand how production works, and they can only do it. But then it's almost like the Stranger Things problem. Not even really, because at least in Stranger Things, when they what?
Did you see how they're doing the 3rd season?
Yeah, they're doing it in chunk, but it's gonna be all
parts.
Yeah, but that's different. Like, at least when Stranger Things comes back and goes away for like 4 years at a time, 5 years at a time, at least each season has like a conclusion. And here, nothing really felt resolved. It just felt like all set up. It didn't.
You know what it is? Yeah. You know what it is?
What?
It's Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
Kind of. Yeah.
It's all set up, dude. It's all the setup.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I mean, I guess just kind of, I think we pretty much hit everything. I mean, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm mostly negative on the season, but still as a show overall, it's so one of my favorite shows. Like it's hard to to explain, right? Like I still love everything the show has created visually, like game aside. But yeah, I just have a sinking feeling that when we finally get around to, and think of it this way, this is also a thing that shows do, especially these prestige shows, when clearly because of production and getting everything together and these big projects, they have to go away for a couple of years. It's not going to come out right away the next season. So
Yeah.
you usually, like from season 1 to season 2 of this show did, you do a time jump of we are picking back up in a later, the trailer for season 2 of Last of Us. Ooh, get a first look at Joel in season 2. Ooh, he's aged, his hair's longer, he has liver spot, like that's what the shows do right after all these years. With The Last of Us season 3, it's gonna be, hey, we're doing season 2 again. Remember season 2 from like 3 years ago? That is gonna feel like 10 years. It's just gonna be the same thing, but now just with Abby. Like it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work in this format.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking like, okay, like how long are we gonna have to wait now for season 3? Like I do think it would be kind of weird. It's like people are gonna like lose interest. You know what's having the same problem? One Piece live action.
Oh, I can't wait.
Did you see when the season comes out?
No, when?
2026.
Oh, nah.
They reviewed that with the Chopper footage.
Yeah, I did see that.
And I'm like, what? And I thought it was gonna, because it's weird because they did this whole thing of revealing the cast of is it Joe Manganiello as Crocodile, and like that was like months ago, dude. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, and I know they're shooting it, so I'm like, okay, like season 2 probably be like late summer, and it seemed like that was the plan. They just never released a trailer, and everyone got kind of like, okay, what's going on? And then now the latest update this past week was 2026. So I'm curious if they're just gonna do seasons 2 and 3 back to back, especially because the common concern is One Piece is very long, and everyone's like, this cast is not gonna stay like this young forever. But,
oh, sure. They're not going to get all through One Piece with that live action show. I'm sure they have that. I'm sure that's not even their intention. I mean, I know they did shorten a lot of it and condense it, I thought, very well. Because let's face it, there's a lot of filler in fucking anime. I was shocked at how well I thought all the beats were hit and how much ground they covered so efficiently in that first season. But again, the difference is...
Hold on. So season 1 was January through March 2023. Season 2 was so I mean it's like a little over almost 2 years later. Okay.
Yeah, but
so
again,
it'll be 2 years within season 3.
Probably.
Oh no, it's over 2 years. This season 1 was January through March 23. Season 2 was April through May 25. Okay.
Yeah, definitely that. I mean, again,
did the writer's strike affect that?
Could have probably, but
okay.
Yeah, again, just the issue you run into that other shows don't is, I mean, number one, Pedro Pascal was part of this season. I doubt he would come back for season 3 in any capacity. Maybe. I'm sure he will in some form.
I mean, if he does, he's shooting Doomsday, and he's going to be shooting Mandalorian and Grogu, so you have to like fit in the schedule.
Right, and also the more bigger factor is what other shows don't have is you're basically going back in time and showing a lot of the same events, or you're just
the actors are older now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's not moving really the story forward. I guess it will, but I don't know. It's whatever. It just when it said day one in that last shot, my eyes rolled to the back of my skull.
Yeah.
So yeah. But no, I mean, again, the only thing I'll have to close on is just I still think that episode 2 was basically a fucking masterpiece how they did it.
Yeah.
To open a season with those first 2 episodes, I thought were so well done to get me back into this world. Season 6 was amazing, and funny enough, but all the episodes that have Joel in it, but also it's just that whole battle in Jackson. Everything about it was just so amazing. It's just all of the main mission stuff in between.
Yeah.
That I hated. And just Ellie just wanting revenge in this little shorter, much because they're sandwiching so much other stuff in such a shorter amount of time. It just kind of doesn't, and I felt it. You can feel the writers like being like, you could see the dartboard with all the sticky notes of like, and the rope being like, which one do we go with here? Like, it was a struggle, and you can tell. So it was very, very rocky finished product of trying to put together an otherwise amazing show that I love. So
yeah. So I don't know. Do you have a score for a season?
No, I can't. I have no idea. I don't know. Fair. Like a 6, 7-ish. I don't know. It's tough because I still want to go back to scenes of it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't fucking know. It's deeply flawed.
Before I forget, do you care about the Wolf Scar subplot, or like not really invested at the moment?
Not at the moment, no. I don't. That's like the boring stuff to me. I understand why they're there, and I understand why they're present. If they develop them more, sure, I'll get into it. But as the show is presenting it to me,
okay. Would you have preferred like the Sable for season 3 when we see it through Abby, who is like a combatant in that war?
Sure. I mean, yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll say. And again, and by the way, I know we didn't really touch on it. I already said like, I love Bella Ramsey in this role.
Oh, you do. You like it? So you enjoy the portrayal. Like you don't mind it. Yeah. Okay.
No, and again, I didn't play the games. If I did play the games, maybe I would feel differently. But I think she's great. And I get the whole thing with Abby is she's meant to be much more butch. I think that would make it. I'm waiting for season 3 that focus, because again, she's like not really an entity in this fucking episode or in this fucking season. So maybe I would be like, oh, maybe because I get her being butch was a big part of her character, and maybe I would think it would be. I don't know. We'll see. But
I think that's like an issue too. Like in
I'm
the
saving
game,
judgment.
She's like buff, so it's easy to be like, oh yeah, this person will overpower Bella Ramsey. She's like kind of scrawny in this one, so it's like, who would she overpower? You know?
Yeah, I think she's hot.
And to backtrack real quick, in regards to the Bella Ramsey portrayal of Ellie, I do like, you know, like being more like not as revenge and like as like she's kind of, you know, she's angry through the whole second game. I mean, I think it's fine to change that up because again, we have to like this character as a TV watcher. Like you have to. Like I feel like if she was just angry and yelling the whole time, like I don't know if you like. So okay, a prime example is the way she reacts in the game to Dina being like saying like when she found out she's pregnant. In the game, she's just like, "What the fuck? Like you're a liability now. Like you're gonna like bog me down." And like, dude, like you would have lost the entire audience with that reaction in a TV show. You know, like the audience would have like, and like, but that's Ellie the entire time in the game.
I don't.
Like, I don't know. I'm just like a hard proponent of like, listen, you got to make stories just to make the audience care for a character.
Well,
and,
I mean, I care about what I think about. I get what you're saying, but yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned that because that was something I was thinking about too. The whole stupid discourse around the "I'm gonna be a dad" line aside, I don't care. That's a jokey thing.
Yeah, she's stupid.
Stupid. Have you ever seen a lesbian couple? There's like one that's like the guy and one it's like whatever.
Also, like, I mean, as a quick aside, Twitter, that sort of Reddit is, oh man.
Yeah, I don't care.
No, I know, and it's so, and I don't know how bad it was until I checked the subreddit. Like, they do not like her.
Yeah, it's like, stupid.
And like, but like, where it's like now they make fun of her appearance, and I'm like, oh, dude, like. I don't think she's a bad actor. I don't think I do think Dina. I do think there's a lot of scenes where Isabella Merced is doing a way better performance than like Bella Ramsey, in my opinion.
Maybe I don't know.
I don't think Bella Ramsey's a bad actor. I don't. But Reddit just makes sense. She can't act whatsoever, and I'm like, you know who's gonna Noah Schnapp? Did you watch the trailer for Stranger Things?
Oh, I didn't watch the trailer, but I did see that shot that everyone's dunking on.
He's yelling "Run."
See, this is why
people are legitimately like, "Oh, he can't act," and I'm like, my reaction is like, "Okay, let me see that. Let me see that real quick." Like, you probably can't. I'm like, no, like he's like, it, like these are still professional actors. Like,
Yeah,
for a
judging
reason.
judging acting. This is why you've heard my rant about it. I just think judging acting is just kind of
Yeah.
BS. I
It's
mean,
like,
I
dude,
still say, well,
it's something you just can't do. Like, you can't do it. So what are you talking about?
there's a whole, yeah. I just judging acting is just kind
No,
of
but Kento, I mean, like, it's just like annoying to me when I'm just like, okay, like, hey, dude, in your mom's basement, let me see you do that real quick. Let me put a camera in your face. Go, action.
right.
Like, you're not gonna be able to fucking do it. So shut the hell up.
The one main time I ever was like I think the only example of someone I ever was able to point out in a movie or show and be like, that is a bad performance. That
Down
wasn't
to
that
go.
wasn't due to them just not having good material.
And
That's always
in Attack of the Club.
maybe, but that's always my thing is like I feel
The
like just
director.
I
Directing's
feel
a
like
big part
so
of it.
much of it is directing and the
Yeah.
material that you're
Yeah.
working with. Like if you're
Yeah.
given, like I always use the example of Bill Burr was given so many beefy. He had that great monologue in Mandalorian season 2, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, because he was given. Like I feel like a lot of people, I don't know, but
No,
and
yeah.
he said that. He
If you
said
are
that.
a good director, you will bring out the best in your.
But
in your,
the
in your
only
actors.
I was gonna say the only one is Sofia Coppola, famously in The Godfather 3. You watch The God and you're like, oh my God, this person's not. That was the only. But anyway,
That's why she's behind the camera now.
yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I just, sorry, what I was about the pregnancy thing. I do think it would have been a little bit more interesting if Bella Ramsey was kind of indifferent to the pregnancy or not just immediately gung
I
ho.
thought it was cute. I thought it was
Sure.
cute. I like that. Like, it's like, no, she really cares about this character. I like that. She's like, oh, she really loves Dina. She's like in love with her, and she's not hiding that. I don't think it's a bad change. I think it's cute.
Yeah, I don't hate it, but it's like interesting too, where she talks about, and this is what again makes the show so bleak, is that when she has that porch scene with Pedro Pascal, again, this is her being, I think, selfish, where she's, and this is what the whole show's about, right? And probably the game of like,
Yeah.
I could have, like a 19-year-old girl is saying, my life could have mattered by getting this cure, and you robbed that from me. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're a 19-year-old girl. You think that the only way your life could have mattered was
You're 19.
from this, and now if she has this child, now she has something to fight for.
Yeah.
And again, this is me not knowing where the rest of this goes at all, so who the fuck knows. But
I always
anyway.
have a chuckle because it's just Joel's decision is just the trolley problem. You
yeah
know?
it literally is that.
Like, you
Yeah,
just went on a trolley problem. Like, and
that's a good point.
I've seen a lot of people. I've seen arguments like, even just like from like not even about like the story. Like, I've seen people like legit argue like, oh, did Joel make the right decision? And I've seen people say like, you cannot cure a fungus, so yes, you know. And I've seen people argue that like, I think they said that they've tried this on other people before. It didn't work. They all died. So
I
the
mean,
game,
that's a stupid.
the game's a
That's
little
not the
more
point of the.
the game is a little more vague when it comes to did Joe make the right decision or not. The game is more of like, we don't know, you know.
Well, right. It's not about that.
I feel like the show tries to be more black and white about it.
It's
the
like
show
you
tries to
said.
be
It's
like-
just the idea of. It's just the idea of the scenario of the trolley problem. Like
Yeah.
But
you know, and I think that's where it lies. And I personally find it far more fascinating for like, no one to know if the cure would have worked, and so Joel has to tell himself like, no, it wouldn't have, because he's never gonna know. You know, like
sure,
I
yeah.
find that far more fascinating that he spent 5 years just convinced, like, you know what, it wasn't gonna work. I gotta tell myself that to sleep at night. You know,
Sure. Yeah.
I would hate if they ever do reveal like, oh, dude, it would have worked, or if they reveal like it would not work. I think it's far more fascinating.
Well,
to
yeah. I mean, I would just assume that it.
Yeah.
I do get what you mean when he's trying to convince. I'm assuming that it would have worked, and that
Is
was
that
the
your
whole.
headcanon? The air cannon?
Yeah.
That
I
he
don't know.
do-
Maybe don't
Oh,
fucking
oh,
tell.
so-
if this
well,
is
no.
hinting towards something, no.
No, it's not. Like,
Okay.
it's so. No.
Don't get all.
no.
Just don't get all. All I'm saying is don't get all Neil deGrasse Tyson on me. Like, well, actually, fungus, you can't fucking. But no.
No. So, do you find it more fascinating to be like, no, Joel has doomed mankind because of a selfish act, but you find that more fascinating?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying. I get what you mean, and I get what you're getting at. And but no,
Yeah.
I do like that. Of it's either this or I think he still would have made the right decision. And he does say he's like, I would have done it all over again
Yeah, and that's his
because I
decision.
love you. And he
it's a-
cried, and I cried, and
it's a
yeah,
selfish decision, but it's based on love. Like it's that we all make decisions based on love, and his thing was like, for all we know, Joel could have been like, yeah, this will cure humanity. I don't care. I can't have her die.
Yeah.
And I think, and I that yeah, and like
that's my headcanon. Yeah,
and like I have a daughter too, so I would have been like, yeah, fuck it, same thing. Sorry, Dan.
yeah,
Sorry, Dan. If you get infected, sorry, buddy.
yeah.
It's my baby.
It's just it's the interesting ethical dilemma.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah, and you know what? And I'll say it. A lot of people would probably make the same decision as Joel because
Yeah.
like, once you have a kid, it changes, and I can say that 'cause I have a kid.
probably would have been easier to just not to, but I know again that just poking holes, but that's not, obviously this isn't the point. But probably would have been easier if they had a conversation before they put her under, like, hey, just so you know. Well, actually, no, that wouldn't have even worked because they're like, no, we got to get this fucking cure at all costs. Fuck them.
And that's a big part of it too. The Fireflies were like morally ambiguous in a lot of ways. They kind of just try to do it all like what? It's a big point that what's her name? Melanie, is that her name?
I don't know.
And the one that Joel kills in the parking garage at the end. Like she's the one who like was like Ellie's mom's friend, and she's the one who was given Ellie as a baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it's a huge thing where like she didn't tell Joel what would happen at the end.
Right. Yes.
Like they
right.
kept it in
Well,
the dark from him. Like,
but
the Fireflies are also morally ambiguous.
well, this is the whole thing, right? Are they morally ambiguous, or are they just it's survival? If you were in the Fireflies and you were and your daughter was, in this world, and you knew, you would say that girl Ellie has got to go for the better sake of humanity of being.
But that's why you see the scene where Ellie's born. And Ellie's mom gives her, and
Right.
she's like, "I need you to take care of her." And now we flash forward 13 years, and she's ready to be like, "Actually, this is the cure. Sorry, Ellie's mom. I know we were friends, and you trusted me." Or that's the point. Everyone has an ethical dilemma,
Right.
right?
And this is the whole thesis of the show, right? That I think is so cool.
Yeah, and then and again, like all it takes is this one dude fucking all up because he's like, I don't care.
and again, that's way more interesting than just we got to get revenge. So,
well, again, I can't say that to you see how it all ends because I find that story very interesting as well.
okay, no, yeah. So until then,
a lot of people had issues with that, but I think they're wrong. So
okay. No, I'm excited to. I guess trepidatious as I am excited to see where it ends. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, cool. The Last of Us.
The Last of Us. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's kind of like the soft return of No Signal after a few weeks off, but moving into the new place, it's a bitch.
We get the hard return next week, fully erect, baby.
That's right.
Earthy and veiny and ready to go.
That's right. We're only at half mast right now. I'm half chub as we speak. Yeah. All right. So anyway, yeah, Gene, thank you so much, dude, for coming on and finally making your No Signal debut.
Am I plugging pluggables?
Yeah. Tell us, where can the people find you?
I'll say the Hell site, the Nazi site.
Blue Sky.
Yeah, that one. I retweet stupid shit, mostly sports. J3AN8651. Not really mostly sport. I retweet shit I find fascinating. Sometimes you see me replying to MAGA folk and arguing with them for why, because I can't help myself. Other than that, I don't know.
Eyes Wide Watch Club.
Eyes Wide Watch Club. Dan and I do that. We're doing the Richard Donner cut.